the most expensive jewellery of the royal family. Indeed, every royal jewel is a masterpiece: the glittering brooches, the elegant tiaras, the refined earrings, the majestic necklaces. Each piece tells its own story, filled with sparkle and intrigue. But then, there are those rare treasures that can make even the harshest critic of fine jewellery lose their breath. Today, we're going to uncover the stories of these extraordinary gems. Few jewels have captured the imagination of the public quite like the halo tiara, often affectionately called the nimb tiara. This dazzling diamond headpiece, created by the legendary House of Cartier in 1936, was originally a gift from the future King George VI to his young wife, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the woman the world would later know as the beloved Queen Mother. At the time, George was still Duke of York, with no expectation of becoming king. The nation prepared for the coronation of his elder brother, Edward VIII. But in just a few weeks, history shifted. Edward abdicated, and George unexpectedly ascended the throne. What began as a personal birthday present became a jewel that would weave itself into the fabric of royal history. The tiara is graceful rather than overpowering by royal standards, but modest hardly seems the right word when you consider its brilliance. Crafted with 739 round-cut diamonds and 149 baguette-cut stones, it radiates an aura of light, the sparkling swirls and scrolls resembling a halo, which inspired its name. For decades, the tiara adorned the heads of several remarkable women in the royal family. The Queen Mother cherished it deeply, often pairing it with her famously radiant smile. Later, her younger daughter, Princess Margaret, embraced the tiara's romantic charm. She even wore it to the coronation of her elder sister, Queen Elizabeth II, adding a delicate sparkle to that historic day. Another wearer was Princess Anne, Elizabeth II's only daughter, who inherited her mother's striking sense of style. As a young woman, Anne made the tiara her own, showing that its timeless elegance transcended generations. But the tiara's most famous modern appearance came in 2011, when the world turned its eyes to Westminster Abbey for the wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton. For her bridal crown, Kate, now Princess of Wales, was offered a selection of tiaras from the royal vaults. In keeping with tradition, brides are usually given jewels that have not been seen for some time, pieces that balance royal grandeur with youthful delicacy. From among these treasures, she chose the Cartier halo. The tiara's scroll-like pattern framed her face perfectly, complementing her iconic Alexander McQueen gown. To complete the look, her parents commissioned a pair of earrings designed to echo the tiara's scroll motif, featuring delicate oak leaves and acorn pendants, a nod to the Middleton family crest. The symbolism was poignant, a new bride uniting her family's heritage with the crown's legacy. In that moment, the halo tiara became forever linked with Kate's fairy tale wedding, an event watched by millions around the world. Though valued at around $1 million, its true worth lies in the history it carries and the romance it symbolizes. After the wedding, the tiara returned to the royal vaults, where it remains today. Kate has not worn it again, though as a senior royal, she has every right to. Perhaps one day we will see it once more, gleaming under the lights at another great royal occasion. From the Queen Mother to Princess Margaret, from Princess Anne to Catherine, Princess of Wales, the halo tiara continues to sparkle across generations. A reminder that jewels are more than adornments. They are storytellers, carrying the weight of memory, love, and tradition. The story of this necklace is more than just a tale of diamonds and platinum. It is the story of a ruler, of unimaginable wealth, of eccentric habits, and of how one jewel came to symbolize an entire era. In 1947, Princess Elizabeth of Britain, the future Queen Elizabeth II, married Prince Philip. Gifts poured in from around the globe, but one present outshone them all: a dazzling Cartier necklace, Gifted by His Exalted Highness Osman Ali Khan, the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad, the man once known as the richest individual on earth. To grasp the scale of this gift, one must understand who the Nizam was. Nizam of Hyderabad was not a name but a royal title, borne by the rulers of the princely state of Hyderabad in India. The 7th Nizam, Osman Ali Khan, reigned from 1911 to 1948 and lived a life that embodied contradictions. His personal fortune was so vast that it equaled about 2% of the entire US economy at the time. His vaults brimmed with gold, silver, and jewels worth hundreds of millions of pounds. Yet, for all his riches, he was a man of bizarre frugality. Surrounded by 12,000 servants, including staff tasked solely with lighting chandeliers or carrying drinking water, he himself wore worn-out sandals from the marketplace and knitted his own socks. He collected the half-smoked cigarettes of his guests, wore the same fez for decades, and yet rode through the streets in one of his 50 Rolls-Royces. He employed a personal jazz orchestra that performed exclusively for him, and then spent evenings dozing on a veranda with a goat at his side. But he was more than an eccentric miser. The Nizam was also a great philanthropist. He invested vast sums in roads, railways, universities, hospitals, and education. He supported religious institutions, earning admiration both in India and abroad. His personal life was equally extraordinary. Married to 4 wives, he also kept numerous concubines and maintained vast harems of begums. Some sources claim he fathered 34 children, while others suggest the number may have been as high as 149. When he travelled to England in the 1930s, he arrived with a retinue of 300 courtiers and companions, essentially moving a palace across the seas. And yet, what immortalised his name in British history were jewels. From Cartier, he commissioned a suite of diamond pieces, a necklace, a tiara, and brooches in the form of delicate roses. He presented this set to Princess Elizabeth as a wedding gift. Today, the necklace alone is valued at over $120 million. Queen Elizabeth II wore it often in her youth, and in recent years, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has donned it as well, reminding the world of its extraordinary past. The Nizam's reign ended in 1948, when Hyderabad was incorporated into the Indian Union, and his death in 1967 left behind decades of inheritance disputes. His fortune dwindled, his jewels dispersed, but the legend of his eccentric life, a ruler who commanded unimaginable wealth yet preferred to live in threadbare clothes, remains alive. Every time the Nizam of Hyderabad necklace graces a royal neck, it carries with it not only diamonds but also the memory of a vanished world. A world of paradoxes, of immense grandeur and peculiar modesty, of East and West intertwined in glittering history. Imagine walking into the royal jewel vault, shelves and cases glittering with tiaras, necklaces, crowns and brooches, each one with a story of its own. Among all this brilliance, there is one piece that stands out not just for its beauty, but for its history. A brooch, sparkling with 2 of the most extraordinary diamonds ever cut from the largest gem in the world. It is known as the Cullinan III and a form brooch, though Queen Elizabeth II affectionately called it Granny's Chips. At first glance, it looks like a single jewel. In truth, it is the marriage of 2 stones. The Cullinan IV, a square-cut diamond weighing 63.6 carats, and the Cullinan III, a pear-shaped stone of 94.4 carats. Together, they form a brooch of unparalleled elegance and unmatched significance. The story begins in 1905, deep in South Africa, with the discovery of the largest diamond ever found. A rough stone weighing 3,106 carats, more than half a kilogram of pure brilliance. They named it the Cullinan Diamond, or the Star of Africa. But beauty came with a flaw. The massive gem was laced with internal fractures, making it impossible to cut as a single stone. Enter Joseph Asher, the most renowned diamond cutter of his age. With steady hands and nerves of steel, he prepared to cleave the gem. The tale has become legend. When Asher struck the diamond with his hammer, splitting it cleanly along a natural fracture, the tension was so great that he fainted on the spot. His work, however, was a triumph. From the Cullinan came 9 magnificent diamonds and countless smaller ones, each destined for royal crowns and regalia. 2 of these gems, Cullinan III and IV, first adorned the crown made for Queen Mary at the coronation of her husband, King George V, in 1911. Later, they were passed down to her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II. It was Elizabeth herself who gave them their affectionate nickname, Granny's Chips. Though breathtaking, the brooch is rarely worn. Its sheer size and brilliance make it more of a historical artifact than an everyday jewel. But on the occasions it did appear, pinned proudly to the Queen's shoulder, it reminded the world of the story of the Cullinan, the diamond that once shook the world of gem cutting. The Granny's Chips are more than diamonds. They are fragments of history, heirlooms of empire, symbols of continuity. And perhaps most wonderfully, they remind us that even the grandest treasures can be made warmer, more human, by a grandmother's simple touch of humour. The Swan Lake necklace of Princess Diana. Some jewels transcend beauty. They become symbols of love, of loss, of legends that outlive the people who once wore them. Such is the fate of one of the most hauntingly beautiful jewels of the modern age, Princess Diana's Swan Lake necklace. In 1997, Diana commissioned a piece unlike any other. Based on her own sketch, crafted in platinum, adorned with 5 luminous pearls and set with 178 brilliant cut diamonds, the necklace was meant to be the centerpiece of a new parure. Earrings were being made to complete the set, but Diana never lived to wear them. On June 3, 1997, at the Royal Albert Hall, she appeared at the premiere of Swan Lake, the ballet that lent its name to the jewel. Radiant and graceful, she wore the necklace for the very first, and tragically, the very last time. Just weeks later in Paris, her life was cut short, and so the necklace became something far greater than a piece of jewelry. It became a symbol, the last jewel of the people's princess. But the story did not end there. The necklace had not yet been paid for. Dodi Al-Fayed, the man with whom Diana was famously linked, intended to cover the cost. He was known for lavish gifts. A diamond bracelet on a yacht is even recalled in Prince Harry's memoirs. Yet fate intervened. The purchase was never completed. The jewel remained in the hands of the jewelers, and soon it was put up for sale. And that is when the curse seemed to begin. The first buyer, a member of the English aristocracy, confessed she could not bring herself to wear it. "Everyone only thinks of Diana when they see it," she said. Within a year, it was back on the auction block. From then on, the Swan Lake necklace changed hands again and again, 5 times in total. One owner went bankrupt, another nearly so. To some, it seemed as though the necklace carried a shadow, a lingering sorrow that no amount of brilliance could dispel. And yet, the world's fascination never faded. Everything connected to Diana commanded attention, love, and memory. When the necklace was first sold, Diana's sister Sarah asked that a portion of the proceeds go to UNICEF, a charity dear to Diana's heart. The wish was honoured, adding a layer of humanity and grace to the jewel's already poignant story. Today, the necklace is once again searching for a home, and it will find one, because treasures linked to Diana always do. But this jewel, more than any other, carries a reminder. It is not just platinum, pearls, and diamonds. It is history crystallized. It is memory, and memory is more precious than any gem. Queen Mary's Diamond Bandeau Tiara. In May 2018, the world held its breath as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle walked down the aisle. Cameras flashed, millions watched, and one dazzling question lingered. What tiara would the bride wear? When Meghan appeared in her elegant, minimalist gown, all eyes turned to the jewel crowning her head: Queen Mary's diamond bandeau tiara. An heirloom unseen for decades, brought back into the light for a historic moment. The story of this tiara begins in the 19th century with a single brooch. In 1893, a sparkling diamond brooch was gifted to Princess Mary of Teck on her wedding day. It was just one among an astonishing shower of gifts: tiaras, necklaces, and more than 40 brooches. Many of these treasures later became favourites of her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II, who often pinned them to her iconic outfits. But the brooch did not remain on its own. In 1932, Queen Mary commissioned an entire tiara to showcase it. Crafted in platinum and diamonds, in the bold lines of the Art Deco era, the bandeau featured 11 oval sections, interwoven and symmetrical, with the brooch shining at its heart. The result was a piece both regal and strikingly modern. Unlike the famous Vladimir tiara, which can be worn with pearls or emeralds, the diamond bandeau has always remained unchanged. No alternate versions are known, but one can only imagine how it might look with a different stone at its centre. After Mary's passing, the tiara vanished from public sight. For decades, it lay hidden, its whereabouts unknown, until 2018. Then, as Prince Harry wed Meghan Markle, it re-emerged, sparkling like a forgotten star. On Meghan's dark hair, with a band of black velvet at its base to enhance the contrast, the tiara appeared almost as if it were growing out of her hair, luminous, ethereal, unforgettable. The effect was breathtaking. Against her understated gown, with only delicate star-shaped earrings and a simple wedding band, the tiara became the centerpiece of her royal image. Rumors soon followed. Had the Queen truly gifted the jewel to Meghan permanently? The answer is almost certainly no. Royal tiaras are never given away. They are loaned, cherished, and then returned to the vault as part of a heritage far larger than any one bride. And that is how it should be. For jewels like this are not mere ornaments, they are history itself, glittering fragments of a dynasty passed down from one generation to the next. Queen Victoria's Oriental Circlet Tiara. On January 22, 1901, Britain bid farewell to the monarch whose name defined an entire era, Queen Victoria. Today, as we look back on her life and legacy, we turn to one of her most personal and symbolic jewels, the Oriental Circlet Tiara. This magnificent tiara was not just another royal ornament, it was a creation born of love. In 1853, Prince Albert himself designed it, drawing inspiration from Mughal architecture, with 17 delicate arches set in platinum, shimmering with 2,600 diamonds, and scented with one of his favourite gems, the opal. Garrett and Company brought his vision to life, and Queen Victoria paired it with a matching necklace, earrings, and brooch. She wore the parure proudly, immortalised in portraits that captured both her majesty and her husband's devotion. But only a few years later, the tiara had to be altered. After a legal dispute stripped the Queen of some of her jewels, new diamonds were purchased to restore the brilliance of the Oriental circlet. Following Prince Albert's untimely death, Victoria plunged into a life of mourning. Bright gemstones disappeared from her attire and the tiara lay unworn. Yet, before her death in 1901, she made one final decree. The Oriental circlet was to become an heirloom of the crown, reserved for future queens. The following year, Queen Alexandra inherited it. Believing opals to be unlucky, she replaced them with rubies, many sourced from Indian jewels gifted to Victoria and Edward VII. The tiara was altered, its arches reduced from 17 to 11, and its design made adaptable, allowing large diamonds to be set in place of the rubies. And yet, despite these changes, the tiara never became a favourite. Neither Queen Alexandra nor her daughter-in-law Queen Mary wore it often, and it remained unseen in public until 1937. Today, the Oriental circlet tiara remains one of the more mysterious and rarely worn royal jewels. But its story endures, not just as a piece of jewelry, but as a glittering reminder of Victoria and Albert's shared vision, blending East and West, love and legacy into one remarkable crown. But Elizabeth II wore a tiara only once. The cost of Queen Victoria's pet was estimated at $8 million. Queen Mary's fringe tiara. At the wedding, Queen Mary received a magnificent tiara made of silver, gold, and diamonds. In 2020, Princess Beatrice shone in the luxurious tiara of Queen Mary at her wedding. Moreover, Beatrice's mother, Sarah, wanted to wear the fringe tiara to the same celebration. In general, the tiara almost quarreled with two native ladies. The approximate cost of the tiara is about $6 million. When Princess Mary of Teck married the future King George V in 1893, she received a dazzling tiara of diamonds, gold, and silver. Today, that jewel is known as the fringe tiara, a crown of radiant diamond spikes resembling rays of the sun. The tiara has graced several royal brides, most famously Queen Elizabeth II on her wedding day in 1947. In 2020, her granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, wore it at her own wedding, though the story goes that her mother, Sarah Ferguson, also wished to wear it, nearly causing family drama. Valued at around $6 million, this tiara never fails to spark fascination. In the early 19th century, tiaras shaped like sunbursts became fashionable. They could be worn as crowns or as necklaces. Empress Alexandra Feodorovna, wife of Tsar Nicholas I, famously posed in one. From then on, fringed tiaras became traditional wedding gifts for Romanov princesses, who often took them abroad when marrying foreign princes. That's how the style became known as Russian tiaras. Grand Duchess Maria Alexandrovna, daughter of Tsar Alexander II, received such a tiara. When she married Queen Victoria's son, the Duke of Edinburgh, she brought it to England. Meanwhile, Empress Maria Feodorovna loved hers so much that she wore it constantly. Dozens of portraits depict her with the radiant Kokoshnik-shaped tiara. The fashion spread to Britain. Queen Alexandra, wife of Edward VII, received her own Russian-style tiara as an anniversary gift. She wore it often and passed it down to her daughter-in-law, Queen Mary. In 1913, Queen Mary commissioned a new version from Garrard, slimmer, neater, and lighter than the Russian models. That is the tiara that became Queen Mary's fringe tiara, later worn by Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Anne, and Princess Beatrice. By the Russian Revolution, at least two such tiaras remained in St. Petersburg. Both ended up in the Soviet treasury, photographed in the Gokhran archives. What became of them later is still a mystery. Today, Queen Mary's fringe tiara remains a jewel of British royal tradition. Yet every time it sparkles on a royal bride, it also whispers of a lost imperial past, a glittering echo of the Romanovs. Tiara Knots of Love. The jewel originally belonged to Queen Mary. It is thanks to her that the kingdom has so many original and expensive jewelry. The late Princess Diana loved this Gothic-style tiara with morning dew pearls and gorgeous diamonds, and often wore it to celebrations. This product was valued at $2 million. Few royal jewels capture the imagination quite like the Cambridge Lovers' knot tiara. With its glittering diamond arches and 19 dangling pearls, it is both majestic and romantic, and forever tied to three of the most famous women in the British monarchy. The story begins in 1914, when Queen Mary, grandmother of Elizabeth II, commissioned Garrard and Company to create a new tiara. She adored grand jewels and often reimagined historic pieces. This tiara was inspired by an earlier one. The original Cambridge Lovers Knot Tiara, created in 1818 for Princess Augusta of Hesse, Duchess of Cambridge, Mary's grandmother. That is why the piece is called Cambridge, not because of its modern connection to Catherine, Princess of Wales. Mary initially had the tiara topped with pearls, as in the original design, but later replaced them with large diamonds. The result was a strikingly modern, radiant jewel that became her signature. When Queen Mary died in 1953, the tiara passed to her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II. She treasured it, but in 1981 gifted it to Lady Diana Spencer as a wedding present. For Diana, the tiara became iconic. She wore it often at banquets, state dinners, and royal visits. Images of her in the lover's knot circled the globe. Yet, she confessed the heavy piece sometimes gave her headaches. After her divorce, the tiara was returned to the royal collection. It might have gone to Camilla, second wife of Prince Charles, but the tiara's strong association with Diana made that unthinkable. Instead, it remained unworn until 2015, when Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, appeared in it at a diplomatic reception. Since then, she has worn it several times, and each appearance has delighted royal watchers, who see her as the natural successor to Diana's legacy. The Cambridge Lovers Knot Tiara is heavy, intricate, and deeply symbolic. Its knots of love, heart-like diamond motifs with pearls, represent devotion and loyalty. It is more than a tiara. It is a thread that ties together three royal women, Queen Mary, Princess Diana, and Princess Catherine, and one day, perhaps, it will grace the head of yet another queen. Imagine a diamond necklace so dazzling it looks like a frozen waterfall of light. That is the Greville festoon necklace. 5 strands of brilliant cut diamonds weighing between 250 and 300 carats, glittering like the most expensive garland in the world. The story begins in 1929 when Cartier crafted the piece for Margaret Greville, a society hostess, heiress to a brewery fortune, and a close friend of Queen Mary. Originally, the necklace had only 2 rows of diamonds, but Mrs. Greville, known for her bold taste, asked Cartier to add 3 more. The result was unforgettable, a necklace that could stop a room in its tracks. When Margaret Greville died in 1942, she bequeathed her extraordinary jewellery collection to the British royal family. Among the treasures was this magnificent necklace, which has since become one of the most spectacular pieces in the Windsor vaults. Today, the Greville festoon necklace is valued at $8.2 million. But its true worth lies not in money, but in the way it embodies glamour, history, and power. Emerald Kokoshnik Tiara. In 1919, Boucheron Jewelry House created a unique coconut tiara with a huge emerald in the center with a diamond cut. The first owner of the Kokoshnik was Margaret Greville. In 1942, like many other jewelry, it passed into the possession of the royal family. The last appearance in an emerald tiara was made by Princess Eugénie, the granddaughter of the monarch himself. The cost of the tiara was estimated at $7 million. Princess Eugénie, 12th in line to the British throne, has always stood out with her bold yet refined sense of style. But perhaps her most unforgettable fashion moment came on her wedding day in 2018. Wearing a bespoke gown by Peter Pilotto and Christopher DeVos, she captivated the world. Yet it was the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik tiara that truly stole the show. This extraordinary jewel was created in 1919 by Boucheron for Margaret Greville, a celebrated society hostess and close friend of Queen Mary. Crafted in platinum and set with rose-cut diamonds, the tiara features 6 emeralds on the sides and 1 monumental centerpiece stone weighing 93.7 carats, a vivid green gem that dominates the design like a glowing heart. The tiara's shape was inspired by the Kokoshniks of the Russian imperial court, a style beloved by European aristocracy in the early 20th century. This influence gave the jewel an exotic elegance and made it unlike any other royal diadem. Interestingly, Margaret Greville wore the tiara only once, at a diplomatic concert in London in 1937. After her death in 1942, it entered the royal collection and disappeared from public view. Decades later, jewelry historian Vincent Malin rediscovered its story in the Boucheron archives, restoring its place in history. In 2018, the tiara returned to the spotlight in dazzling fashion. Stepping out of a 1977 Rolls-Royce Phantom 6, Princess Eugenie stunned onlookers with her emerald tiara and matching drop earrings, a gift from her new husband, Jack Brooksbank. The effect was breathtaking, a perfect blend of modern grace and royal tradition. Following the wedding, the tiara was displayed at Windsor Castle in 2019, allowing the public a rare glimpse of this hidden treasure. Since then, it has vanished once again into the royal vaults. But Eugenie's choice carried symbolism beyond mere beauty. In many cultures, emeralds represent hope, renewal, and eternal love, a fitting emblem for a royal marriage. She also became only the second woman ever to wear this tiara publicly, highlighting its exclusivity. Today, the fate of the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik remains a mystery. It may rest quietly in the royal collection, awaiting its next grand appearance. Or perhaps Princess Eugenie herself will one day wear it again, reminding the world of its unique charm. Either way, it has already secured its place as one of the most spectacular and storied jewels in the Windsor legacy.